Good afternoon, everyone. Today we'll discuss a new topic, that is terrorism, and I'll mainly focus on certain areas like the definition problems, and I'll discuss on the dynamics of terrorism in Jammu and Kashmir and Northeast India, and what are the measures taken by the government to counter terrorism, and certain peace initiatives and way out. So, as we all know that terrorism has emerged as a threat to national security, and uh, this phenomenon of terrorism, it has gained much importance in the recent times. Earlier, terrorism was viewed from the point of third world countries, and the Western countries, they thought that terrorism is a part of third world countries. But when US was attacked by Osama bin Laden in the Twin Tower attack, and that changed the very perception of terrorism. And since then, terrorism has emerged as a global terrorism. So before we discuss much more about terrorism, let's get into the definitional problems. There are certain definitional problems in terrorism. First is, although the concept of terrorism is in public discourse for more than 200 years, a truly comprehensive and universally acceptable definition of the term is yet to emerge. And defining the concept has proved to be difficult task because of various reasons. The first and foremost relates to the element of subjectivity, and subjective factors such as one's view of justice, freedom, national rights, human rights, and strategic interests. Secondly, there is no terrorism per se. There are different kinds of terrorism. It includes non-state actors such as liberation movements, revolutionary movements, secessionist outfits, religious movements to achieve various political, religious, or personal objectives. And thirdly, there is hardly any act of terrorist violence which have evoked a uniform response. In this sense, one man's terrorist is another man's freedom fighter. Much depends on which side of the divide one is viewing the phenomenon from. So, for instance, Delhi considers Jammu and Kashmir Liberation Front, or JKLF, as a terrorist group, but the people of Jammu and Kashmir view those group as freedom fighters, as those people who are the members of JKLF as freedom fighters. Similar in the case of LTD, in the case of Alpha, NDFB, we have seen how uh, how the how the people who are residing in those areas of support base, they view that they are the own people, but the Delhi government, but the government of at the center and the state government, they view it and brand them as terrorists. So that is why this says that that's why they say that much depends on which side of the divide one is viewing the phenomenon from. Now let's get into the dynamics of terrorism. I'll discuss the dynamics of terrorism of Jammu and Kashmir and Northeast India. The first is, Jammu and Kashmir has been a bone of contention between India and Pakistan since independence, and it is a clash between two nationalisms. The two nation theory, whereby Hindus and Muslims are considered as separate nations, and Pakistan considers Jammu and Kashmir as unfinished task of partition because large majority of Muslim populations, it remained in Jammu and Kashmir, which they believe that it should have been a part of Pakistan. And but however, gradually we have seen the militancy increase in Jammu and Kashmir since 1989. But before the 1989, we have seen the scenic beauty of Jammu and Kashmir, where many of the Hindi movies were picturized there. But since 1989, we have seen the increase in violence in the valley in Jammu and Kashmir, and Pakistan has been fomenting trouble in Kashmir through proxy war, and they have been using terrorism as an instrument of foreign policy. And then we move into the The dynamics of terrorism in Northeast India. The Northeast region has remained one of India's soft underbellies, the other being the Jammu and Kashmir. So, dynamics of terrorism in Northeast India has a different character and autonomy. It can be explained in terms of socio-economic and cultural developments, the idea of ethnic identity and geostrategic locations with external linkages are crucial in shaping the roots of insurgency and terrorism in Northeast India. As we all know that the Northeast India is located in a strategic location and it has been surrounded by four neighboring countries. Therefore, whatever happens in Northeast India, it has an impact on the external linkages and foreign policy. The region has been surrounded by a lot international boundary of 4,800 kilometers, which is shares with Bhutan, Bangladesh, China, and Myanmar. The strategic location of Northeast and the access of the disaffected groups to China, Bhutan, Myanmar, and Nepal, together with material and moral support of foreign intelligence agencies, have facilitated insurgency in Northeast region. So, due to the porosity of the borders, the Northeast has also become the hotspot of large-scale migration from across the borders. So, Bangladesh migrants are becoming a threat to national security of India. The infiltration of population from Bangladesh to Northeast India is encouraged by Bangladesh government as a policy of Lebensraum, living space, as one of the measures to solve the problems of monstrous population growth and rapidly shrinking living space for its people. And next, we move into the counter-terrorism measures that have been taken by the government to deal with terrorism. As regards Jammu and Kashmir, India's approach has been to defeat terrorism in all its forms and manifestations and put pressure on Pakistan to dismantle terror infrastructure as it considers Pakistan-Afghanistan border as epicenter of terrorism. So, as we all know that now, India-Pakistan relations have been at a standstill because we don't find any kind of interactions, be it the exchange of cultural relations or sporting relations, because India has taken a stand that talks and terror can't go together. If we have to come to the negotiating table, or if you have to start talks, then terror must be stopped. That has been the consistent stand of Indian government. And we have made certain legislations like Disturbed Area Act, National Security Act, Armed Forces Special Power Act 1958, POTA. They are already in the statute book to deal with militants. Then counterinsurgency operations have been launched by army, paramilitary forces, along with civil administration under the unified command structure, which is in place in Northeast India, Jammu and Kashmir. Then government has also taken a zero tolerance on terror. So no any kind of terrorist activities will be tolerated by India. That has been the consistent stand of government of India. And AFSPA 1958 has been in operations in many parts of Northeast India since last 5 decades, which has been considered as a draconian law and anti-democratic because unlike other parts of the trouble areas, the Northeast people can't move freely because of this act which is in place, and they believe that their human rights have been curtailed, their civil liberties have been curtailed because of ASPA 1958. And apart from those, the joint working group has been formed with various countries to improve intelligence gathering and to work jointly to defeat terrorism. Many peace initiatives have been taken by the government of India, both in the Jammu and Kashmir and Northeast India. From Jammu and Kashmir, from the Jammu Kashmir front, there has been people-to-people contact, but till date, we don't find such kind of initiative taking place. Confidence building measures in both military and non-military spheres can be done to build confidence among the people. And from the Northeast India point of view, we have seen two of the important insurgent groups are undergoing talks with the central government, NSCN since 1997, and ceasefire group of Alpha. The formal talks are yet to start with the national leadership. Then peace initiative actually go a long way in creating and nurturing peace consequences in the region. The present peace process has witnessed an unprecedented civil society initiative in Nagaland. No insurgent group can bypass the civil society intervention. Naga civil society for a peaceful settlement of the issue. The NSCN cannot afford to swim counter to this current. So, Naga civil society is actively involved in bringing peace in the state of Nagaland, and to come to an amicable settlement regarding the Indo-Naga issue. And lastly, the way out, we like to talk about the two approaches to the way out. Two approaches to deal with terrorism. One is negotiated settlement, and another is physical annihilation. So, first approach should be preferred instead of the second. And basically, it is a political problem. Whatever the problems that have been in existence regarding terrorism, we have seen that it is a political problem and should be dealt at the political level. Army should be called to contain violence, but as a last resort, when all the possible means are exhausted. Civil society offers some hope for a way forward. Existing arrangements should be overhauled, and there should be sensitization and capacity building. And it is very necessary to ensure that good political governments requiring decentralization of power to the people, accountability, and transparency in public affairs. There should be access to prompt and affordable justice where sufferings of the people can be mitigated. People should be made to feel that there is a light at the end of the tunnel. So, terrorism in one way or the other will exist as long as addressing of genuine grievances remains elusive. So, before I conclude, I would like to say that terrorism is a threat to national security. We need to defeat terrorism in all its manifestations, and terrorism will exist as long as addressing of genuine grievances remains elusive. And it would be fruitful if United Nations come up with a comprehensive definition of terrorism, so that we can deal with terrorism in a very positive manner, and so that we can defeat terrorism and build a world where peace remains as the perennial a perennial kind of existence. Thank you.